What's up, guys? We are going to be doing a live mock draft for you. I'm going to be drafted in the number 1 spot. Tucker's going to be drafted at the number 12 spot.
Yes, sir.
You're going to tell us down in the comments which team's better. Which draft pick would you rather have? Whose team's better? Is it me at the number 1? Tucker at the number 12? But this is going to be interesting. We have a couple of AIs, little CPUs, little bots helping us out here.
Little chat GPTs, as I like to call them.
Oh yeah, we get this. Maybe one of the chat GPTs outdoes us, but
I'd be very sad and disappointed if one of them did. But I have high hopes for myself.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I'm better than a CPU drafter. I mean, I'd like to at least think that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, looking at the CPUs and looking at us, we've been putting out a decent amount of fantasy content now, and we're gonna put our money where our mouth is. Not just throw our must-haves, because you could have 10 must-haves, but can you get them on your roster?
Yeah,
so
we're gonna actually draft.
We're gonna draft it. We're gonna put it to the schedule. So let me resume the draft here.
Yeah,
I have the number 1 overall pick, and
I think I know where you're going here.
I think I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson.
Gritty boy. Now these CPUs are very, very intelligent. They already know. They've calculated all the beeps and boops, and they know exactly who they're picking, so they get to pick pretty damn quick here.
And we're gonna go over each pick what they do.
Yeah.
Team 2 picks Austin Eckler at number 2. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty. I mean, I guess that's not super standard, because I would be taking Christian McCaffrey before. The thing that I was looking at was that Tyreek Hill at 3 is crazy. I don't think I've ever seen Tyreek Hill go
above,
that early
or above Chase or even Cup. So
that was very interesting to me. Kelsey slid up the board a little bit. Cup fell. I mean, after that, it's pretty standard. I think once you get outside of those top 6 picks, or top 7, excuse me, I think they're kind of like between Bijan and then like the Devontae Adams range. I think you could kind of select these guys.
Yeah.
You could kind of tip for tat. It doesn't really matter where they're at. They're all pretty similar tiered. But here, I'm looking at. I really wanted Saquon to follow me at that turn. Unfortunately, he didn't. Also, Diggs kind of slid up the board. There's one guy I know I want for sure here, and I think that's.
Can I guess it?
You may.
Nick Chubb.
That is 100%. I am going to be taking Nick Chubb 100%. But then, after that, I mean, we'll go ahead. We'll take Nick Chubb here, because I know. I mean, I pick back to back, so it doesn't matter what order I take these guys in. But now I'm looking over at A.J. Brown
That's a good pick.
or Devontae Adams. And now I'm a little flustered. I really like A.J. Brown. He had a great year last year. I don't know why I would think that anything would change in the production he had from last year, but there's a lot of guys on that offense. They just traded for DeAndre Swift. They also have Skinny Batman, also known. I prefer calling him Skinny Batman.
Devontae Smith.
He also is called Devontae Smith. But I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna stop beating the dead bush here. I think there's more risk in Devontae Adams with the new quarterback situation, and I've heard Devontae wants out of the Raiders, so maybe he doesn't. There's too much risk there. I'm going A.J. Brown. We're locking it in.
Patrick Mahomes early off the board.
Wow.
At the 2.2. That's very interesting here. Jalen Hurts, another quarterback going off the board. But Devontae Adams, the player that you wanted, not going far after when you picked him. Yeah, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, that is very interesting. That's a tough choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, maybe there. I know it's early to take Jacobs or Taylor, but I probably would have gone running back.
Really?
Yeah, just A.J. Brown, like that offense had a record-setting year, and
mm-hmm. It's hard to replicate.
It's going to be hard to replicate, and there's a lot of mouths to feed. And Devontae Adams, like you said, with that quarterback situation, I think it's Devontae Adams. We've seen him do well with with Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't matter. But at the quarterbacks going off the board is just interesting to me. Mahomes at the 2.2 and Hurts at the 2.8. I mean, 2.8, okay, maybe, but 2.2 is early. I mean, we've seen some crazy stuff from these AIs with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, Garrett Wilson falling to the 2.10 is nice. Tony Pollard at the 2.11 is not bad in a 10-man league. That's in the 3rd round, so it's probably where Tony Pollard is going to go. But I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go Josh Allen and Olave are on the board. I really like Olave. I feel like he's a deep ball receiver, and Derek Carr is really good at throwing that deep ball. So I think I'm going to take Olave here at the 2.12. Now, the running back situation is really interesting because with Pollard was kind of the last running back there in that tier brick.
Yeah.
Maybe you can take Ramondre Stevenson. Maybe in 2 weeks when we have our draft, which we will be filming for you guys. You guys can ride along with our actual draft. But currently they've brought in a lot of running backs into that New England system, and I'm just not comfortable taking Ramondre Stevenson. Now, if they don't bring anybody 2-3 weeks down the line when we have our actual draft, I'm comfortable taking Ramondre Stevenson here at the spot. But as of right now, if I was drafting today, it would be very interesting.
I think I know where you're gonna go here, but I'm curious to see. I don't want to say it before you pick.
I'm gonna go. I was trashing him earlier, but I think I'm gonna go Josh Allen.
Oh wow,
quarterback.
That is not where I thought you were going with that at all.
I just didn't like any of the receivers on the board. I didn't like any of the running backs. Like I didn't want to really touch DK Metcalf. Didn't really want to touch Devontae Smith. Didn't really want to touch Najee Harris or Breece Hall. Josh Allen, I feel like, was the best pick there for me at the 3-1. So I'm glad that I got Olave, because I was really like, after that I mean, you see all the players in the third round. I don't really like any of those guys this year.
Unlike that, I'm very excited. I wish if I could trade my first round pick to take some more early fourths and later seconds, I 100% would this year.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at all these guys that I have available to me right now. Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. I would take every single one of those guys if I could. But unfortunately, I can't.
I do like Jahmyr Gibbs. It just felt like a reach at the 3-1.
Yeah, I'm looking. So, I mean, Najee would have been nice if Najee fell to me. T. Higgins could have been a nice fall to me. I think this third round is pretty standard. It's interesting to me that 5 quarterbacks are off the board already. So maybe I need to start thinking about that quarterback position. I'm not going to do it just yet. Not going to bite the bullet yet. I'm really high on Jahmyr Gibbs, though. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush again.
Just take the Gibbster.
I'm just gonna take Gibster because I love him. That's 100%.
Solidifying your RB2. That's kind of what you want to do there.
And then I think I'm gonna go. I went running back receiver. I think I'm gonna continue that trend. But now the question becomes: do I want Keenan Allen or Calvin Ridley? Now, both of these are interesting predicaments. I think that both these guys have top 10 wide receiver potential upside.
Both in our must draft videos.
Yeah, they both were. But I do see risk with both of them. Keenan Allen is in an offense where there is a lot of people who demand the rock.
Yep.
So will Keenan Allen be able to be getting the target share that is worth a fourth round, basically a third round selection here for him? The other guy, Calvin Ridley, also you could say is a little bit concerning. There's a decent amount of mouths to feed over there in Jacksonville too. Both of these guys are receiver ones though, so let's not put that past them. But obviously, Calvin Ridley with the suspension last year, he's been away for football for a year. How is that going to affect his game? I don't know.
Me either.
So there are some doubts there, but I'm going to 100% select one of the two guys, and I'm looking at the squad. I'm looking at these guys.
Before you take your pick, I think I might be able to help you out here. I think A.J. Brown, as we said, maybe the offense does take a regression. He is one of the safer receivers in the first round. So Nick Chubb, one of the safer running backs in the first round. So maybe here, Gibbs is a rookie, so maybe you can say there's a little risk involved.
Risk, yeah.
So maybe you go the riskier guy. You do have a safe team so far. And look for a higher upside a little bit is what I would say.
And I will say this as well. I'm thinking both these guys, both Keenan Allen's quarterback, Justin Herbert, and Calvin Ridley's quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to be targeting in the next couple rounds. I'm fine either way. I think whichever guy I go here is also going to determine ultimately if they're around on the board when I can pick again.
Stacking the receiver and quarterback.
So I think there's a higher chance that I can get Trevor Lawrence, so I'm going to go Calvin Ridley here.
I like it. I do like it a lot. Calvin Ridley, I mean, we've seen him so far in training camp. He's played very well. Keenan Allen now goes off the board at the 4-5. Joe Mixon was still on the board. Interesting if he might get suspended. Now I'm on the clock. But looking at the picks in the fourth round, I do like Judy. I do like Sanders. Kind of mad that they go right in front of me. DeAndre Hopkins is interesting, but I think he could have a good year. I took a quarterback early, so Hawkinson going off the board really doesn't affect me because I'm not going to double up on quarterback and tight end in the first 4 rounds. But I am needing a running back.
Yeah, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm just noticing a couple interesting things here from the bots. If you go look over at Team 9, They don't give a fuck about any other position but the receiver position. They are going heavy on the receivers. And the other one I thought was interesting was Team 6. Started off with Travis Kelce and have selected running backs and have not looked back since.
Yeah, I mean, there's a decent amount of late receivers here that I feel like you can go take, so I wouldn't mind it now.
But yeah, go back to your thought process here. Sorry to steal
running back here is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly am not a fan of Dameon Pierce this year. I don't mind Alexander Madison, but looking at the board, there's a good amount of teams that have already taken 2 running backs. So if we look at Team 2, Team 3, Team 6, 7, 8, 10, and 12, which is your team.
Yeah.
I'm really vying over 3 teams that are kind of running back needy, so maybe that makes me only take 1 running back here and take a different position. Looking at the receiver, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Drake London, Christian Watson on the board. This is interesting. I know if you've watched, there's this strategy called zero RB. And that is kind of where I'm heading here, because I think I am going to go, and I literally just said it, which sucks, and I'm going to be looking like a clown, but I'm going to go George Kittle. He fell all the way to the late 4th round. Hawkinson somehow went in front of George Kittle. Yeah. I think if George Kittle can stay healthy, he's going to be a beast. And one of my mottos is, and it may rub people the wrong way, I don't draft based off of injuries. If you draft based off of previous injuries and injury concerns, you would have missed out on Christian McCaffrey last year.
That is true.
You would have missed out on players that you can't really dive too deep on, You would have missed on Saquon Barkley last year. So players are going to get injured. It's so random. It's how they get tackled, how they get rolled up. Yes, some players are more injury prone than others based on knee problems and stuff like that. But George Kittle's a guy that I'm pretty confident on, and if Brock Purdy can return, we've seen what George Kittle can do.
I like the pick. I know you went against what you were saying earlier by not doubling up on the quarterback and tight end, but you got pretty damn good guys at each of those positions. So.
Yeah. Now is a question mark here. I do like Christian Watson.
I could assume,
Yeah, I'm a Packer fan. I do like Christian Watson. I think Jordan Love's going to be very, very good and be above expectation. Maybe a top 16 quarterback. I'd say an average to an above average quarterback within his first season. And he has high touchdown upside. We've seen him score 7 touchdowns in the 4 games last season. So if he can stay on the field and healthy, they're going to give him the ball. And it's not like he needs to catch the ball to get the ball, which is weird because he's a receiver. But they run Christian Watson about 2 jet sweeps a game. So he's going to get touches.
Can I, before you select a guy here, may I add some input? I want I'd sway your decision a little bit.
You can add some input, but let me add the second guy before you add some input.
Of course.
The second guy I'm thinking of, the one reason why I'm down on Christian Watson, I just don't think the receptions are going to be there. And in a full PPR league,
receptions are very important.
Receptions are important. The other guy I'm deciding between is getting my running back off the board at Alexander Madison.
Okay.
Dalvin Cook is gone. When Dalvin Cook was injured, we've seen Alexander Madison be a 17, 18 plus point fantasy back. Those are the 2 I'm really deciding between.
That's interesting. The 2 guys that I was going to point you in the direction of, you did not mention. I think I understand why you might not like these guys, but first one, without further ado, Dameon Pierce. I know he was a rookie last year. I know he's on one of the worst teams in the NFL. But with that being one of the worst teams in the NFL, you have a rookie receiver in CJ Stroud. Is he going to be confident to throw a bunch of passes every single week? Yeah. Are the coaches going to trust him to be slinging the rock every single week? I don't think so. And I think Dameon Pierce is going to be having to step up big for that Texans team. And I think they're going to have to be giving him the ball a lot. Other guy that I was looking at was J.K. Dobbins. I know he's under PUP right now. Pup. But I think J.K. Dobbins has huge upside if he can come back and stay healthy.
I do agree. I don't mind J.K. Dobbins here. I am not a fan of Dameon Pierce this year.
Okay.
They added Devin Singletary to the roster, which he's not a guy who's probably going to steal. So Dameon Pierce is going to see 10 to 15 rushing attempts a game.
Yeah.
My issue is he has one of the worst O-lines in football.
Yeah.
And I think it was with running backs over 100 rushing attempts, It might have been over 80 rushing attempts or whatever. I don't know. So whatever rushing attempts was the minimum, he had the worst yards per carry last season.
Really?
So
Okay.
not an efficient running back, but the volume is there.
The volume will be there.
The volume will be there. But I think I'm going to go Alexander Madison.
Okay. I don't mind the pick whatsoever. Some may
Here
say
go
that is a reach.
quarterbacks.
Oh, the quarterbacks are making a late run. I think we all know who I'm hoping. No!
Trevor, the stack. Christian Watson falls away to the 5'10". Kyle Pitts off the board at the 5'11".
I'm glad Kyle Pitts wasn't sitting there.
Every team but Tucker and 2 others have solidified their quarterback position.
And Team 9 continuing the wide receivers. I don't know what Team 9 is doing. He was decided to fill out his bench before starting.
This is it's a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 2 flex. So
yeah, and he currently has a receiver sitting on the bench.
yeah,
With what
no
he's got
running backs
going
on the
right now.
roster. That's an interesting pick here. And another draft strategy, we can see Team 4 going hero RB,
Yeah.
taking McCaffrey and then all receivers in the back end. Pretty much has his 2 receivers and 2 flex spots
Yeah.
solidified here. Team 3 kind of doing more of a balanced value approach outside of Tyreek Hill. I have no clue what he was doing there.
Yeah, I'm very looking at some of these guys. I'll quick recap of what happened now that I'm picking. My quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, that I was hoping would make it to me at this selection, did not, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to pivot there. Another thing that I'm kind of thankful for, because I bit the bullet on this last year with Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts was sitting there when I was about to pick, he would have been a shiny, dangly object right in front of my eyes, and I don't think I would have been able to say no to it.
Kyle Pitts.
So I'm
is
glad
always,
he's off the board.
He's an interesting guy. Every year, you got to draft him just based on the value and the talent. But the quarterback, I think Ritter is going to be more pass happy than Mariota was last year. That's the only positive for Pitts.
That is true. But after last year, just left a little bad taste in my mouth.
Yes.
I don't know if I want to go down that route again this year, make the same mistake. This puts me in an interesting position here. I'm looking down the list. I'm seeing how many teams have selected a quarterback already. It's me and 3 other teams that have not. And when I look at what quarterbacks, I'd be fine with some of these. I'd be fine with some of these guys that are left. I think I'm going to hold off on the quarterback position for my turn right here. For this turn. The guys I'm looking at here, I'm going to avoid DeAndre Swift. Eagles have a 3-man back committee. I'm not going to be touching that. Chris Godwin, I really like, a PPR machine, but obviously the quarterback situation is not the greatest there. Dallas Goedert is someone that I think I'm definitely going to be taking with one of my next 2 picks here. The other guy that I think I'm going to target, I think I already know where I'm going to be going with my picks here. I'm going to be going Dallas Goedert first here, as I just said. And then I'm looking, like I said, DeAndre Swift I'm staying away from. Chris Godwin I'm staying away from. Darren Waller, I don't need, just drafted a tight end. Cam Akers and James Conner. Those are the 2 guys I'm looking at right here. And it's tough. I think they're right next to each other in the rankings.
Yep.
But really, I think it's whoever you prefer. Both these teams are not projected to be very good. The Rams and the Cardinals, obviously the same division. I think I lean more towards James Conner in this situation, just because of Cam Akers' previous injuries. I know you don't care about the previous injuries, but if I can take a guy that has been healthy the past few years, I'm going to do so. Give me James Conner here.
Yeah, Cam Akers is not far off the board at the next pick. Darren Waller, another tight end that I think might have a really good season down there with the Giants. He's might be the number 1 target now in New York, but a little bit of a receiver one at the end of the draft. We had Akers off the board, Swift off the board, Kamara off the board with this 3-game suspension. I'm not high on Kamara this year, especially after they signed Kareem Hunt.
Exactly.
And Jamal Williams. So Dalvin Cook off the board too when he doesn't even have a team. Very interesting there. Godwin, Pittman, Ayuk. Pickens is a good draft pick.
I like Pickens.
I do like Pittman this year. I mean, he is a receiver 1.
I'm very happy with the talent that got back around you on this turn. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very excited for your picks.
Oh yeah. Let's look here. I mean, there's a couple of guys. This is why I waited for running backs, because there's guys like Rashad White. There's guys like Pacheco. Javonte Williams even is a solid there. And then at the receiver position, Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk,
great guys,
Mike Evans. So I really can go either or here. I know I'm taking a running back because I need my receiver 2 spot or my running back 2 spot situated. And personally, the guy that I like the most this year is Rachaad White. So I think that's going to be my first pick off the board.
Love
there.
It would have been sad if you did not go that with your pick.
Yeah, 100%. Here, I'm so iffy on Pacheco. One day I wake up and I'm like, he's a must draft. Another day I wake up and I'm like, he's a must avoid.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that he is a beast at the run game, but it was only for that playoff stretch. Really, the whole regular season, he was kind of fantasy irrelevant. So that scares me a lot. PPR upside for Pacheco, not really there. They have McKinnon, maybe the best passing back outside of Eckler and McCaffrey in the league, pure passing back.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a guy that I do have my eye on that I do think he's going to do very, very well. And I don't understand why he's going this low. And I think I'm going to take him here in the 7th round. And that's Mike Evans.
Okay.
It was between Mike Evans and Mike Williams. I think Mike Williams is going to do well, but I just like that Mike Evans is the number 1 receiver. I don't understand why Chris Godwin is going over him. I get maybe he's more of a PPR monster, but let's not forget, Mike Evans has had 7 or 8 1,000-yard receiving years in a row.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just with Tom Brady. This guy was a top 10 receiver with Jameis Winston. So, yes, Baker Mayfield does concern me at the quarterback position, but he has had questionable quarterbacks in the past and has performed. He is 30-ish years old, getting a little bit on the older end, but Mike Evans, talent there, volume there, production in the last 8 years, more than there. So, yes, you kind of got to draft based on what these players are going to do in the future, but that means you can't skip what happened in the past, and I think that's why I'm taking Mike Evans here at the number 7 pick.
Okay. I mean, you needed another receiver, so I like that pick there. Let's take a look at a lot of the guys that I was going to be targeting are going. That is so unfortunate. All right, at least I'm going to get one of my quarterbacks here at this turn.
Yeah.
Great. That is huge for me. Oh, my gosh. It actually worked out perfect. I don't even think I need to talk too much about what just happened. I was really hoping that either Jackson Smith-Njigba, Christian Kirk, or Deontay Johnson made it back around to me, and one of those guys did. Deontay Johnson. I am so high on him this year. I think we've mentioned him in multiple of our fantasy videos and positive lights as well, might I add. But Deontay Johnson, may I remind you if you do not remember, he had zero touchdowns last year. And if you guys don't know, I'm sure you do, but touchdowns are such a volatile stat. I mean, it's just like picks on defense. So I think Deontay Johnson is primed and ready. If he could just get 6-7 touchdowns, doesn't even need to be a crazy number, he would have been a top 15, top 20 guy last year. So give me Deontay Johnson in the 7th round, the end of the 7th round, might I add. That's a steal in my eyes. So give me Deontay.
I do love that there. Deontay Johnson finished top 5 in target share last year. And when you finish that high in target share, you're going to see an increase in touchdown. The volume is there. He just needs to put the ball in the end zone. And maybe, there's a question on if he's still the number 1 receiver there with Pickens. I do think that he's going to be the PPR target share monster in that receiving room for Pittsburgh. But, I mean, you do have Pickens there. He's probably going to be the big play guy this year. But I want to look at some of these teams now that we're kind of at the midway point in the draft. Some drafts I'm really liking. I really like Team 10. Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams, Lamar Jackson, ETN, Christian Watson, Swift, and Jahan Dotson. Getting very value guys. A little bit of high risk in Swift and Dotson, but that's okay because you kind of have Saquon Barkley and Travis Etienne who are kind of safer running backs. I guess they just drafted Tank Bigsby, but I do like Christian Watson in that currently for the AI bots is my favorite. My favorite team is pick 10.
Yeah, Team 10 is definitely not doing too shabby at all. I think they're a pretty well-rounded team so far. Just need a tight end over there. But going back to where I'm looking at, I got a big decision to make here. It's time to draft a QB. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm either looking at Deshaun Watson or Tua Tagovailoa. This is tough. I think there's risks for both of these guys here. Deshaun Watson, obviously, got to play a couple games at the end of last season. Didn't really do too well. He's got a decent receiving room this year. Good running back. Good O-line. He can run, but can he still play ball the way he did on the Texans? I don't know if he is still capable of that. But there's one thing I am sure of, and that is Tua Tagovailoa is concussed and has CTE, and he probably will be getting concussed again. So I think I just made my decision for myself. Give me Deshaun Watson here.
Yeah, Jordan Addison was a player I was targeting. Goes right off the board. That's unfortunate. Maybe taking over that number 2 spot. Him or KJ Osborne.
Kadarius goes right before your selections too. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Kadarius. I like me some Kadarius, Tony.
Yeah, he's not a bad player. Quentin Johnston, another player that goes off the board. Looking at value here, I do only have 2 running backs on my roster while I have 3 receivers. The running backs are getting very thin.
Yes, they are.
So that means we just might not have to draft more.
We're done. We're stopping the draft into the running backs.
No, we're definitely going to need some running backs here. So I just got to pick which one I want, whether that's Jamal Williams with his 3-game suspension, but then Kareem Hunt went there, so that turns me off a little bit about him.
Both those or just one Philly running back, just Rashad Penny, just kidding.
Yeah, I don't mind him, but that backfield is so loaded that it's like you got Kenneth Gainwell, you got Swift, you got Penny, Boston Scott. Zach Charbonnet is interesting. I do think he's going to be the goal line back there in Seattle. Samaje Perine is interesting if Javante's hurt.
Yeah.
But I think first let's figure out who I'm going to pick at the receiver spot. I think I'm going to go receiver running back here. I do like Brandon Cooks. I do like Juju Smith-Schuster a little bit. I think I'm going to go risky pick here. I do have a lot of receiver talent. Actually, do I really? No. We're going to go the safe pick. We're going to go Gabe Davis.
Okay. I don't
kind of fallen. He's still the number 2 receiver in that Buffalo offense. Not a bad player at all to take there. And my running back, I think this is tough, but I do think I'm just going to bite the bullet and take Jamal Williams.
All right. Okay. That's who I was hoping you were going to select there. I think you got to, as a value pick, you kind of got to go best available. And I think, you saw what Jamal Williams did last season. I know I was just kind of I'm going to be a little hypocritical here because I just said touchdowns are a very volatile stat, but obviously Jamal Williams was getting a bunch of touchdowns last year, getting a lot of goal line touches, and New Orleans saw that, and they wanted him on their roster.
Yeah, 100%. I think you have a little bit of a risky pick in Madison and White. They are the lead backs there. So taking Williams, who's probably going to get a bulk of the share in the first 3 games during Kamara's suspension, and then maybe using that as a little bit of an inflation to trade him when you know Kamara's coming back. So Jamal Williams is probably going to average 15 points in the first 3 weeks. Then you look to offload. You look to trade him. You look to get rid of Jamal Williams. So that just adds another, piece to my team here that I hopefully could use in trades, or if he ends up being the lead back and they moving off Kamara based on personal issues, I'll take that as well.
All right, I like it. I like where you went there. Now looking around over at what happened in the previous round, I don't think nothing too crazy happened here. Team 8 taking back-to-back tight ends. Don't know what the hell that's about, but hey, we'll let them do their thing over there. Team 8, whatever floats your boat.
Team 10 is still killing it. Richardson.
I love Team 10. Yeah, fuck. That's who I was going to look at, too. I might have selected a backup QB in this next round.
Taking Lamar Jackson, who's a little bit of an injury-prone player, following it up with a risky guy like Richardson. Even though Lamar Jackson's still a top 5 quarterback, you can kind of go riskier quarterback later and then maybe have 2 good quarterbacks on your roster and look to trade them. But solid there.
All right, for these picks, I think I'm going to have to go receiver running back here. Now, the question is who? That's really what it is. I think I have my running back figured out already. I think I know exactly who I want to go here. I'm going to take it's going to be a little bit of a reach, but I think he's better than all the running backs that are above him.
Who is that guy?
I'll save that for the okay, I'll say it now. It's Jerick McKinnon. I'm going to be drafting Jerick McKinnon.
I do like Jerick McKinnon, kind of a PPR monster.
Yes.
He's the passing back in that Chiefs offense, and he finished as a top 5 running back through the last 8 games of last season. So
I love the upside from him. If Mahomes can keep spinning around and flipping him the ball from nowhere, because he did it multiple times with Jarek last year, I think Jarek is going to be doing just fine with the fantasy
100%,
points.
100%.
But now I have a little cross in the road. I have a few different guys pulling at my strings here. One guy, OBJ, Odell Beckham.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly. It's a high risk, high reward situation. But I'm at the point now where I feel like I have 3 pretty safe receivers and 3 guys who are going to get me some points for sure. But I think you just kind of helped me figure out who I want to go here. I'm not touching Cortland Sutton. I'm not touching Elijah Moore. So when I keep scrolling down, the next receiver on here is Jameson Williams. Really, really fast guy. I know he's suspended, but I don't care. I have 3 receivers that are going to take me through the first few weeks of the playoff season.
100%.
Or sorry, not the playoff season, just the fantasy season in general. So I think I'm going to take the gamble and hope that Jameson Williams comes back into that electric Lions offense from last year, and he can go get some long touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go Jameson Williams. What do you think?
I do like it. It's a high risk, high reward. I personally would go Odell Beckham just because Odell Beckham's going to be there. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind Jameson Williams at all. I mean, he came in first game of the season last year after his injury and touchdown. Mm-hmm. So he has the capability to be a really good receiver. It's why he was taken in the first round a couple years ago. But looking at the players that came back to me, actually, let's recap this last round. Odell Beckham going, the player you were deciding right after you. I feel like we've seen that a lot. The player you're deciding between, whether it's Odell Beckham or they go right after you. So, a player that I kind of was looking at was Alan Lazard and Devin Achane. The running back from Miami. I know there's a lot of running backs in Miami, but I mean he is the rookie running back, so maybe just taking a high risk guy there that could end up being very, very good if he ends up securing the lead role, if he does, because there still is Raheem Mostert and all those players down there. Now looking, I think I see the first player that I want, and I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. He's probably one of the only receiver ones still on this draft, and that is Adam Thielen.
I like it a lot, actually.
I do have a stacked receiving core with Jefferson, Olave, Evans, Davis, and Thielen. So we're almost done kind of drafting the receivers there. I feel like that's a good 5 to have. So now we got to focus late running backs, drafting for risk because I didn't take an early running back. Mm-hmm. So I need to hit on one of these late ones. So I need to look at a guy that has the capability to be a top 15 back, but maybe has the capability to bust. And I'm looking at one guy right here that currently I think has the lead role there. Now he is fighting with 2 or 3 other guys, but I think that he should be the starting running back there, and that's Dante Foreman.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's not the direction I thought you were going to go with that pick.
Yeah, he is fighting for that running back role with Khalil Herbert, who went 8 picks in front of him. Uh-huh. But I think Dante Foreman is the better running back. We saw Dante Foreman play for the Panthers last year. He averaged, 14.3 fantasy points per game? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just think he's the power back there. I like the pick. A little bit of a risk, has RB1 upside.
Yeah, I definitely think he has RB1 upside for sure. I think that's an understatement.
Actually. I mean, that is RB1 is a little bit of an overstatement, but definitely high end RB3, low end RB2 upside. All
right. So now I'm looking at what just happened in this previous round. Now we're starting to see kickers and defenses fly off the board now. So that does, I think with one of these picks, I'm going to take a defense. I'm going to wait on the kicker. So let's go. I think I'm just going to, we look right here at the top. It's either the Dallas Cowboys or the Buffalo Bills. I think I like the Dallas Cowboys defense a little bit better this year, just because of the addition of Stephon Gilmore to add to Trayvon Diggs. They have a great duo at corner, arguably the best defensive player, arguably maybe one of the best players in the NFL, and Micah Parsons. So I think I trust in Dallas defense. I trust.
Yeah,
So I'm going to be going Dallas defense here.
Again, another high risk, high reward. Dallas either allows 40 points. We've seen them allow 40 points to Jacksonville last year in the overtime loss when they played Jacksonville. But again, they are one of the most turnover happy defenses in the league. You know, you got Trayvon Diggs, who's kind of a pick magnet. You got Micah Parsons, who forces fumbles. DeMarcus Lawrence, who forces fumbles. So they're high risk with the turnovers, or high reward with the turnovers. But then again, the defense can end up having some slippery games. Here with your second pick.
I'm battling. I'm battling in my head. There's a couple of guys I'm looking at here.
If I can give you some advice here, just to see if I was at your position, what I would do right here. I think you have a high risk guy in Deshaun Watson, so I definitely would want to back that up and have two players there. You know, I know there's a lot of quarterbacks that went off the board. You know, Rodgers went off the board, but taking a guy like Jared Goff or Daniel Jones or even a Bryce Young, if you want to go risky and hope that one pans out. But I do think if I were you, I'd be looking at quarterback here.
You know, I think that's really, really good advice. And I hope that you don't go behind my back and swoop one of my guys. But I think if I leave Bryce Young, I really think he'll get a back around me just because all these teams are now starting to draft kickers and defenses. So I think that's going to be a lot of these guys' priorities going forward. So I don't know. You tell me if my thought process, if you like this thought process. I'm looking over. I drafted a really risky receiver in 2 rounds ago, Jameson Williams.
Yep.
Obviously, I think there's very high upside, but also he's suspended. Who knows? So I want to get another receiver here.
Let's look at the receivers that are on the board. You got Bateman, Sky Moore, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. So the guys I'm looking at here: Rashad Bateman, Sky Moore, Tyler Boyd, and Rashee Rice. Those are the 4 guys I'm deciding between. Actually, and Romeo Doubs, as I just saw down there before. I had to scroll down a little bit. But
I do like Doubs this year.
I think... Oh, this is so tough for me.
Personally, I would go Sky Moore or Jacoby Myers. That's probably the 2 I would be deciding between. I think Jacoby Myers is a very good receiver. He was a receiver 1 last year for New England. He put up 12, 13 points a game, and now I think you're in a little bit of a more pass-friendly offense with Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
He is now the receiver 2, so that does take him down. That's why he's going here in the 14th round, 13th round.
Is Hunter Renfrow still over there in the Raiders? I forget.
I do think he's still on the Raiders. But I think Jacoby Myers is just more talented. He can solidify the number 2 receiver. Yeah. Sky Moore has the ability to be the best receiver on that Kansas City team. Him or Tooney are kind of the 2 guys that are fighting for who's going to be that number 1 receiver. So he does have receiver 1 upside as a starter, not in fantasy, but as a starting receiver 1, he does have the capability to do that.
Yeah, I think you actually just convinced me there. I think I'm going to go Sky Moore. I think so.
Love the pick.
I'm going to go Sky Moore there.
Love the pick. As you said, defenses and kickers starting to go here. You got Bass, Bills, Ravens.
2 quarterbacks. That's not what I want to. 3 quarterbacks. That's not what I want to see.
Still, Jacoby Myers going right in front of me, a guy that I was kind of high on. But as I said before, I think I'm kind of set at my receivers. I have 5 solid ones. I was looking to go get backup quarterback. But I trust Josh Allen more than I trust George Kittle to stay healthy. So I think instead of going backup quarterback here, I would going to go backup tight end. And kind of my backup quarterback, I have Josh Allen. So I think I'm my backup quarterback when it gets to Josh Allen's bye week or whatever, play the waiver wire game there. But a player that I'm really high on at the tight end position this year is Greg Dulcich. So I'm going to take him, kind of an unknown guy. I think Denver's offense all around is going to see some improvement.
I would hope so, yeah.
So I'm going to take him. I wanted to go tight end, especially seeing that there's Team 7 has not selected a tight end yet. So I kind of needed to pick a tight end because I'm assuming that Team 7 is going to look for a tight end here in the next couple of picks. Hopefully.
You would hope so.
Now we're looking at running back, a guy that I was thinking of taking in the round previous, and he still fell.
Tyler Algier, right?
Is Tyler Algier.
Yeah. He's the number 1 running back on that depth chart right now in Atlanta.
Yes.
Which is not going to happen when it's all said and done.
It's not. Bijan is there, but I just got swayed. I did.
Oh?
Tank Bigsby.
That's okay.
Is the pick.
Okay.
Jacksonville running back. They didn't, they had James Robinson on the roster last year with ETN. Bryce Young off the board, 2 picks before you.
That's brutal. That is brutal. And also, good catch because Team 7 finally went ahead and drafted their tight end there.
Yeah, I figured that's why I wanted to go my backup tight end in that round and kind of not go defense. I kind of wait on the defense, but I do think that my pick with Tank Bigsby, if anything happens, we've seen ETN go down before. Tank Bigsby can be the running back 1. I see that you're very happy over there, though. Someone must have felled you.
I am very, very happy over here. And I actually just realized something.
Oh, no.
I did just realize something. You might be upset at me. I hope I'm not stealing your pick. You haven't said anything to me about it yet, this draft.
Maybe I was trying to keep it a secret for a reason.
But there's a quarterback on here that I just realized. It could have some very, very high upside.
Is it CJ Stroud or Jordan Love?
It's Jordan Love.
It is Jordan Love.
After seeing CJ play in that preseason game, I lost a little hope in him. Unfortunately.
Jordan Love did play well in his preseason game.
But Jordan Love did play very well in his preseason game. Actually, I didn't get to see it, but I've heard from you, and you were very high on his QB rating, QBR rating, and all that.
For everyone out there wondering, with a minimum of 20 attempts last season, the number 1 QBR player was Jordan Love.
With that being said, I'm taking Jordan Love here.
I do think he is a high upside guy. Again, he's going in the last round or 2 to undrafted. Like this guy, yes, he has a lot of upside, but he could be an undrafted guy. Solidifying on your team is not bad.
Yeah.
He does run a little bit, so he has a little bit of rushing upside. Not the rushing upside like you would have like Anthony Richardson, but still like Bryce Young level rushing upside. I do like Jordan Love. If the Packers and Jordan Love can somehow figure it out, I can see him being a top 10 quarterback this year. Obviously, he's a rookie, so his ceiling is kind of limited. He doesn't have like Justin Fields or Jalen Hurts level rushing ability, so he probably won't be a top 5 quarterback simply because of that. But Jordan Love is a good pick there.
Thank you. I figured you very much.
I would like that. I would like that.
Now, I have a little bit of a predicament here. Obviously, I still need a kicker. I don't think I'm going to select a kicker here, though. Because I have my eye on a couple guys that I really do not want to miss out on.
Uh-huh.
I know I only have 4 running backs, so I could use another running back, but when I take a look at who's left here, not one. I mean, maybe Raheem Mostert, maybe Jeff Wilson. But really, none of these guys are piquing my interest that much. Kareem Hunt just got signed, actually, so that could be an interesting one.
Yep.
But I think that some of those guys I think all those guys will be on the waiver wire, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I go back to receiver. And one thing I heard from preseason / training camp / practice.
Is it Romeo Doubs?
No, I'm going to stay away from the Packers on this pick. Jalen Hyatt.
Ooh.
I heard really, really good things about Jalen Hyatt out of that Giants camp this year. I think he does have a lot of upside.
Yeah.
There's not many receivers on that Giants offense that are well known.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jalen Hyatt genuinely has the opportunity to go in and be a receiver 1 by the end of the year.
Especially with the receivers on that team. You still got Sterling Shepard. That's kind of where it dies off.
Yeah.
I mean, Darius Slayton's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, they are like above average guys, but there's not that guy. And they did draft a receiver in the first 2 rounds for a reason. I think he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
3rd round.
Yeah, I think it was 3rd. I'm pretty sure it was 3rd. But regardless, I love Jalen Hyatt out of college. I think I thought he would have been drafted a lot higher than the 3rd round.
Yeah.
But I want to stop talking about him. I want to see him on my roster. I'm going Jalen Hyatt here.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert, another guy you're talking about again. Drafted right after you.
I think Team 11 has me mic'd up or something.
Yeah, Team 11 is definitely on you there. And the player I want, or the team I guess I want for my defense off the board, I wanted the New England Patriots. I feel like they have a top 10 defense every year. Unfortunately, Team 7 is reading my mind. So we're going to have to go defense and kicker here in the last 2 spots. I kind of didn't
go with your boys.
I didn't pick a defense and I didn't pick a kicker, which means normally in the last 2 rounds, if you don't pick a defense and you're sitting there in the last 2 rounds, normally that means you're playing the waiver wire game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go kicker first.
Okay.
You know?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Really.
It doesn't. I'm back-to-back picks, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go kicker first, though, and I'm going to take Brandon McManus.
Really?
I do like that Jacksonville offense. I do think that they're going to get a lot of red zones. They're not one of the best offenses in the league, so maybe, you know, some more field goals and extra points is what I would hope for. Mm-hmm. But Brandon McManus there in Jacksonville, love the pick. Definitely going to be a lot of yards on that offense. Hopefully converts to ending with a kick, whether that's an extra point or a field goal. It doesn't really matter to me. Rather have the field goal, though. Here I'm looking at the Green Bay Packers, the Kansas City Chiefs are the two defenses I'm looking at. I wouldn't mind the New Orleans Saints either, but
ride with your boys.
I think I'm going to go Green Bay.
Yeah.
Strictly on the fact that they do have Jordan Love. They do have a rookie quarterback. If the team needs to be good this year, it's kind of going to be on the back of the defense. You know, the offense is going to struggle simply because the guys never played a down of football in the NFL for more than 2 games. So I'm going to go Green Bay. They have the talent to be good. It just seems like they get injured every year. They have Rashawn Gary. They have Jai Alexander, who Jai Alexander arguably could be a top 5, top 10 defensive player in all of football. Definitely one of the best corners in the league. So I'm going to go Green Bay there to solidify my last pick in this mock draft.
Yeah, and I'm just going to wait around here and see which of these kickers is going to fall into my lap here.
Who is that going to be?
I'm just going to go best available. Graham Gano of the Giants. I think I like the kickers that are in the range of not the worst team, so they're not scoring at all. Not the best team, so they're scoring touchdowns a lot. I like to be in that middle range tier team where they're going to be, you know, they're good enough to have a drive halfway down the field, but maybe not necessarily all the way into the end zone.
100%.
So I want a lot of field goals, and I see Graham Gano on the Giants, and I think the Giants are fit beautifully into what the team I just described. Give me Graham Gano. And that wraps it up.
Justin Jefferson, number 1 overall pick for me, followed by Chris Olave in the 2nd round, Josh Allen in the 3rd round, George Kittle in the 4th, Madison, then White, then Mike Evans, then Gabe Davis, then Jamal Williams, then Adam Thielen, then Dante Foreman, Greg Dulcich, Tank Bigsby, Brandon McManus, and the defense of the Green Bay Packers. Strategy going into here, I'm always a best value type of guy with Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and Jonathan Taylor off the board. Kind of had to pivot, kind of had to go receiver. Didn't want to, but that was the value I thought was there. Tough decision between Josh Allen and Ramondre Stevenson. I already talked you through my thought process there, so that was kind of what my thoughts were in the early part of the draft for me here at the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, no, I think you had a pretty solid draft here, if I do say so myself. Thank you. I think this was interesting. I usually tend to go for a value type of draft as well, and honestly, I think I did that. I think I selected what I, in my opinion, what I thought was a good value pick at each spot. The one thing that didn't go my way that I was a little upset about is I didn't get my quarterback in Trevor Lawrence where I wanted him to, so I had to pivot and go a tight end, which is okay. I think Dallas Goedert, I'm happy to have one of the better tight ends in the league.
Yep.
But Deshaun Watson, I think, can still get the job done. And just to be, you know, I want a little extra layer of protection. And just in case Jordan Love is the next Patrick Mahomes of the league, I got Jordan Love there as a backup. But going through the whole team really quick, Nick Chubb, A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Calvin Ridley, Dallas Goedert, James Conner, Deontay Johnson, Deshaun Watson, Jerick McKinnon, Jamison Williams, not Jamal Williams, Dallas Cowboys defense, Sky Moore, Jordan Love, Jalen Hyatt, Graham Gano. I like the teams. I do. I like both of our teams.
Yep, they're both solid here. I definitely have you beat on the receiver end with Jefferson and Olave over A.J. Brown and Ridley. But running backs wise, I mean, obviously Chubb and Gibbs is better than what I got in Madison and Rashad White. So it's really just based on who, like, I feel like with a lot of these drafts, you can you can't win your league in the first round. You can't. Like, everyone's going to get value. Jefferson, Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, all going to end up being pretty good players. You'll have that one bust. Last year it was Najee. This year maybe it's Bijan, maybe it's Barkley, maybe it's a guy who just gets hurt. You're going to win the draft in that 4th round to like 10th round. And if you can hit on 2 or 3 guys in that draft, you're probably going to be looking pretty good. And I feel like I put myself in capability to do that, and I feel like you put yourself in capability to do that, you know?
I think so, but we can sit here and talk about it all we want, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys thought of our drafts. So go down there to the comments section. If you even made it this far in the video, if you did, you are a too troubled super fan, and I love you and I appreciate you. But go down in the comments and let us know, did I have the better draft or did Travis have the better draft?
Easily me. Easily
You guys
me.
already know who to pick. I don't need to say anything.
And if you're watching all the way to the end, put a thumb up in the comments. We want to see how many people made it this far in the video and how many people actually want to win their fantasy football leagues and are studying this year, going deep into the archives, studying for fantasy football to become their league champion. But with that being said, as always, cue that outro, baby.
Peace.